One of the first projects I ever did. I think the first one might have been building a bench, and then the next one was this shop stool. And it's in issue 76 of Woodsmith magazine that I subscribe to, and it's way back in August of '91, I believe. Let me see here. Yeah, August of '91. Up here you can see. So anyway, that's the bench or the stool I made. There it is. And I have to give these guys credit because I'm going to use that jig again. I have to make it again, but I'm going to use this jig to scoop out the seat, like this shows here. And it's on, let's see if I can find it here for you. There it is. Seat scooping jig. So I'm going to make this jig again, but it's going to have to be, this opening is going to have to be bigger to accommodate my thicker seats, but that's no problem. I can deal with that. The thing I'm interested in is this radius and the sled. So let me get busy on this and I'll make it, and I'll show you the dimensions. I think maybe you can see them off in the magazine here. But I'm going to get busy and start making this jig. Okay, here's my setup for making this arc on the jig. Needed a piece 24 inches by about 6, but I found a couple pieces that were 23.5. I'm going to make them work. I cut them wider because I have a thicker blank than what my original seat was over there. That's just 1 inch. And my seat planks are 1 5/8 inches. So I allowed for that. Put a couple center lines here, then center line marks on this board, which is going to be my base that I'm going to mount these to. I lined up my center lines here. I'm going to tap this in. I found this is just a cutoff of whatever, cherry, I guess, in my scrap bin. Don't know why I still have it, but I'm glad I do. Locate that on the center line at the 42-inch mark. Tap it in. And then the way you locate the bottom of your arc, doing it this way, is your measurement comes from the bottom of the board. So I have another hole here. If I can get this down here for you. There we go. I have another hole here that's big enough to accept my pencil lead here. And I'm just going to strike this arc. There we go. Now you only have to do one of them, because you're going to cut them both at the same time. So I'll just put these together. I still got my jigsaw out. I'll clamp them and then make these 2 cuts. I'll clean it up, smooth it out a little bit with a drum sander, and then it's going to get mounted to this base here like this with my, I guess I should lay that out too while I got it here. My cutout for the seats. So they're 14-inch diameter seats, so they want this to be 14.5. So off of that center line, that's going to be 7.25. I about here 7 1/4. Right there. And 7 1/4 this way. Right there. Inch and 5/8. A little bit strong of that, I suppose. Like that. Okay, so now you can see what I need to do. I need to waste this out and this. Okay, I don't know why that needed to be so big, but it doesn't matter, it's scrap anyway. So let me get busy and do that, and then we'll come back and see how it works. All right, got my pieces cut. I just used my my piece for my router that's going to hold my router anyway, my new base, as my spacer. And then after I cut these apart, or cut them, I should say, I drew arrows on here so that I can see or remember which way they went together, which way they were registered. So I've got the arrow pointing this way and a couple of marks. So I kept them oriented the same direction, so that if there's a little bit of difference in my arc, it's going to be the same on both sides. So with these areas marked out here, I'm just going to drill a couple holes. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, and this corner to this corner to get my center to set my dowel pin in. And then we should be pretty well ready to rock and roll. I've got to fit my base to my router, but I'll do that. And that's pretty straightforward stuff. So let me get this thing put together, drill my holes. I'm just going to run screws, no glue. Get my base set up. Gotta center that up as well, and then we'll be ready to go. So we'll be right back. All right, let me show you this setup here. I'm trying to make some jigs. I've got 3 of them done, and what I needed was to make a kerf cut that's exactly flush with this piece right here, which is 126 thousandths, so 1/8 of an inch. And I'm dialed right in. I'm just perfect right there. So I'm going to make my last one here, but I want to show you my setup for doing this. And I was going to make them out of these hardwood blocks that I have, but they're too short. And you can see that if I got this in here, my fingers too close. I'm not interested in being that close to a spinning carbide tip saw blade. So, and then let me show you this too before I get carried away. So behind here I've got a stop block, and that allows me to run this up, stop, and then pull it out. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to do it this way. So I have the blade fully extended. I got a stop block back there. And let's just run this last one. Okay, so there's my curve cut to make it flush. Okay, the one problem is I've got this radial cut here, and I need to square that up like this. So I need to take this triangle piece out, which I'll do with, I'll just make a curve cut with my Japanese saw. I can go past, it's not going to bother one bit. I just need that clearance. So I'll do that, and then the other thing I need to do is I'm going to cut them to length, because this length is just about perfect. So I'm going to mark this one. Yeah, they could be, no, this is just perfect. I was going to say they could be a little bit longer, but I'll go with that length. So I need, remove that little bit, cut them to length, and then I'll have my jig, and I'll show you how I'm going to use it here in just a minute. Alright, I'm going to try and explain this to you as best I can. This, here's my spacer. That's the exact width I need. I put that in here as I set these up to hold that away, you know, so it didn't get cockeyed. And then I clamped it down, and I'm relying on these clamps. That there's a lot of surface there, and I think it's going to be enough to hold that for what I'm going to do anyway. So that's my clearance slot. And the reason I need it is when I registered this dowel jig to the face of the leg here, if I were to register it like this, maybe this is better so you can see it this way. So you can see this face is registering here, but what's happening is I've got that 1/8 inch indent. Okay, so when I go to set it up on my seat, I need to relieve this over, or you know, that relief, to have it jog over so that it matches up the way I cut the dowels on the leg. So when I pull this now, I can here, hang on, there. There's my relief I need right there. And I'm gonna have to back that up. I'm gonna have to shorten it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to back them up a little bit because it's interfering right there. And the way I'm gonna register it is with this. Yeah, I've got to back those way up. Do that. Yeah. I think what I'm going to do, now seeing what my dilemma, if this is not wide enough to accept this, it's off by about 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to make marks on these where I need to relieve that so that I can drop this in there. Alright, one more cut to be made. Hang on. Alright, I got my method down. There was a definite sweet spot with these offset jigs I needed. Now, one thing I do need to remember is that I'm always working from the same side here. So I want to work from the left side as you see it, and then stay on that side all the way around. So here's how I'm going to do this. I put my spacer in there, And my notch is my built-in spacer. And I hold that against my leg. Get a clamp. This over a little bit. So why it's important that I have this notch is that this cannot be allowed to spin. So wrong one. If I were to take and just put a spacer block without this notch on it, there'd be nothing to keep it from pushing or rotating that little bit, and I don't want that to happen. So what happens is after I get done putting all 4 of these in here, this thing's going to be captured. Is that right now? Wait a minute now. This side. And this side. There we go. So now it's captured here and these 4 points inside so that it won't rotate on me as I start to tighten these clamps up. Once I get one more on here, I can get rid of my pail. Alright, let me grab my last clamp here. Alright, now I'm just going to go back and double check them. That one's good. That one's a little loose maybe. There we go. And that one's good. Alright, make sure my clamps are all snugged up tight. There. So now when I take this out, I'm going to make some marks on here, but now you can see that this thing can't move, can't rotate, which is good. So this comes off, hopefully. There. And I want to make sure now that I register that these are the sides that I'm registering my jig off of, so I want to use that same side on this one. So I'm just going to make a mark here on that side. And as I rotate it over, I know that the mark just stays on the same side as it gets rotated around. Okay, so now I've got all 4 sides marked here with these lines. Here, here, there, and here. Alright, so I'll show you how I do that after I do this up here. pin comes out, or my dowel comes out. There we go. And then I have this to register from for the distance. Remember that dowel shared that same center hole with my legs. And all I do with this now is push it up against that side, clamp it, and the other thing about this is I'm doing this before I just give it one clamp, snug it. That's all I need right there. I'm doing this before I dish out the top so that I have nice flat surface to clamp to, and I'm not worried about marring it up because this clamp pad is well inside the area that's going to get dished out. So I know that I'm doing holes 2 and 4, so I just drill these out now. Okay. Move my locator. Let that in there. Make sure it's tight. Do one more ratchet. There we go. 2 and 4. And the reason I like this is because there won't be any fasteners showing. No screws, you know, to have to worry about drilling through the legs and all that good stuff. This is all hidden, and it's going to be very strong because of the dowels and the glue, and all the pressure on this is just it's all going to be downward force, so this just has to keep that seat from sliding around basically, and it'll do a great job of that. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep going here. I'll get these other holes drilled, and then I'm going to move my operation over to my workbench where I should be. And when I get ready to do the legs though, I'll show you that one, and then I'll show you how this mates up. And then it will be time to dish them out. And that's the other thing. These dowels are not going in far enough to be seen even after I run the router to make the dish. So, okay, we'll be back when I get ready to do the legs. Okay, I've converted my jig over, and I've got this plate registering off the same side as this was before, and I'm just gonna drill the same 2 holes, 2 and 4. And then all I need to do is just rotate it. Here's my mark again. Make sure I stay on that same side. Clean this up. Two and four. Okay, last two here. All right, let me grab some dowels and see how she fits. Wonderful. There it is. Let me bring this up here. It's beautiful. It just goes together like a glove, and I'm so happy. It's going to be great once I get everything finished off here. So I got two more to do, and then I think I'm just going to call it a night. But I just realized I have the perfect clamping jig right here. All I have to do is turn it over, use my old stool. It's a perfect jig. I never even thought about that till I walked by it just on the other side. So I'm gonna go over to the other side and do this, and you can see what I'm talking about here. Bring this down if I can. So you can see how I can use my old stool as a clamping jig. That'll work out great over there. All right, anyway, that's it. So there's that one, and I've got two more to go. So we'll see you when we get ready to do another operation here. I know that I told you I was moving my operation, but there's no need. This is, I wish I'd done this earlier because this is just perfect. I mean, I had this one set up in a matter of just seconds compared to minutes with that other one, you know, working off a bucket. But I realize if you don't have another stool like this to work off of, you have to do something other than this, and maybe a bucket's your only option. But anyway, that worked out pretty slick. So I'm good to go on this one. I want to make sure that this didn't move on me here. Yeah, we're good. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do my other holes like I promised you before.